Good morning, Aloha Friday. I hope you're all looking forward to the weekend. It's a little humid lately, but I think we should see the weather turn, hopefully, and get those trade winds coming back. This week in real estate, we saw listings at an all-time high again, which is fantastic. Our inventory is so low, with about only, say, 600 homes on the market on all of Oahu right now. So we do need more inventory because there's a lot of buyers out there still wanting to buy. Today we actually, I've had the privilege of the last few weeks of actually having some clients from 20 years plus reach out to me to help them, and it's been really just so wonderful to hear that, oh, Caron, you helped us and you were just amazing, wonderful, etc. And it really brought on how important customer service is. And a little quote here that I thought I'd read to you this morning is, the goal as a company is to have customer service that is not just the best, but legendary. So to me, if you've got clients from 20 years ago and they're still speaking highly of you, that's legendary. So I'm looking forward to keeping that going. So on that note, I thought it'd be great to introduce Julie. Good morning, Julie. And Julie is our operations and client advocacy manager. And this is how we really put all our systems here at Caron B Realty International about client service. And I thought what we would do is, Julie is, always, of course, it's about exceptional client service. And I thought we'd talk about the escrow process. And, people often say, oh, that house went into escrow. What is escrow, first of all? Why don't you, I'll let you lead here.
Sure. Yeah. So for those that don't know what that means, if you hear, oh, I'm in escrow on a property, my property went into escrow, it's basically the time period between when an offer has been accepted on a home and the home closes. So during that time period, there's timelines that need to be followed, contingencies that need to be met, lots of documents that need to be signed. So our top priority during that time is to make it as smooth as possible for our clients, whether we're representing the buyer or the seller. So we have a list of trusted vendors, so we can help coordinate anything that needs to happen there with a survey, a home inspection, termite inspection, things like that. So our client doesn't have to do the research themselves, get estimates. We really just like to make it as smooth as possible for them.
And how would you say, how do you choose a termite inspector for our clients, or say a surveyor, to do the survey? How are you choosing those people? What criteria?
Well, I think it goes back to having experiences with them. Being in the field for so many years, you've had experiences with certain vendors, so you know which ones that you can trust, that are hard workers, that give a good price, give a fair quote. So we always like to get 2 to 3 quotes for our clients, so they know they can see that we're doing the best for them and getting the best price and getting the best service for them as well.
And I know, one of the things I've always believed in, especially today's market, is experience and working as a team like we do. And, when we get those surveys, there'll be maybe 10 or 12 items, right, on, there might be encroachments, etc. So where do you see that we go above and beyond, when we get those crazy surveys that have so many implications?
Right. So working as a team, we have myself, we have yourself, we have Doug as well. And everyone kind of has their areas of expertise. So for example, the survey will maybe go to Doug and say, please, and we'll all look it over together. And, we can all read the surveys, of course, but we'll all look it over together with a fine-tooth comb before we present it to the client. And that way they have all the correct information. We don't just forward it to them once we receive it from the company.
Correct. And even a termite report, sometimes a termite report will say, oh, you have termites in the home.
Right.
But, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's not that bad. So can you tell me about some experiences you've gone through with termite reports where maybe there was a conflict of interest when we didn't choose the termite report, of course, that if we have a listing and the buyer's choosing the termite report from the other agent, and they have somebody who's saying there's termites and they're actually wanting the job to tempt the house, but we have to protect a client where it's not necessary.
Exactly. So that's when we we would, if it does need tenting, we would bid that out to other companies. We wouldn't necessarily just go with the company that did the inspection. We've also had issues where it didn't really need to be tented, but the inspector, it really just needed some debris, some wood removed, which was done. But the inspector, and it was under warranty, and the inspector wouldn't change the report. So we always kind of, we know which inspectors we trust and are going to do a good job.
Yeah, and even before we go into escrows with some listings, we often, especially if a house looks like it needs work, we often do a pre-home inspection. Do you want to say a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's definitely a way I would say our company goes above and beyond for our clients. That's an excellent example. So yeah, we always suggest a pre-home inspection. Once again, we'll get 2 to 3 estimates from our trusted vendors, present that to the client. And then once the home inspection's done, we'll go over that report with our client and suggest any repairs that we think will make a difference in the long run. And in the long run, it actually ends up saving them money, because once the home is listed, goes into escrow, the buyer can't come back and renegotiate for price or repairs, because those repairs have already been done.
Correct. And that goes into a little bit about, when we represent a buyer or even we represent the seller and we're helping, of course, we're trying to get the home sold for top dollar, and say we get a call from the lender, the appraisal is going to be done. Why don't you explain what we do with the appraisals to, when the bank wants to go out there and do an appraisal?
Exactly. So we're always there at the appraisal. We don't just send them out on their own, even if the home's vacant. We always like to meet the appraiser. We bring the purchase contract, even though they probably already have it. We always like to present the purchase contract and then bring comparable properties that have sold in the area that would justify the price. So they can see that, it is being sold for market value. And then once we're there, we can explain, this was just renovated 5 years ago. This was renovated a year ago. So that's not necessarily in the purchase contract. So they may not know that. So that also helps with the value of the home.
Right. And then, what are some of the key, I call it key performance indicators that we know we're giving good customer service? What you've experienced? Yeah.
Referrals, absolutely. Like, our clients will refer us to other clients, other family members. We've helped multiple family members of one family in the past couple of years, which has been really wonderful. Also, repeat business. Like you were saying, I have seen so many times clients calling you that you have helped 10, 20 years ago, which is a huge indication that, we're doing it right and we're serving our customer. The raving testimonials we'll receive, thank you notes. We've had clients send flowers to the office, just like a general sense of appreciation. It's almost like this sigh of relief, like, thank you, like, you guys made this so easy. And that's how we know we're doing our job correctly.
And how would you say, in terms of communication, how do we know that maybe we're not doing a job as good as we should be doing? What would be a key performance?
I would say, if our client's calling us, asking us what's going on, that means we're not doing our job correctly. We always like to be 5 steps ahead of our client with, this is what's happening this week, this is what's due, this is what needs to get signed. So we're not scrambling and they're not calling us wondering what's happening.
And why don't you talk about how we discuss the clients, say the decision makers, their personality, how we should communicate with them. We're very sensitive to that when we start working with a client. Why don't you talk about that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that, again, another reason where I think we go above and beyond. We really like to get to know our clients and their personality and cater our service towards that, which I don't think everyone does. There's some clients that are very black and white. I just want to know the deadline. What do I need to do? Give me the facts. That's it. And then there's other clients that need to know every detail, and that's okay. We're happy to do both. And maybe someone is new to the home buying process, new to the home selling process. So explaining the terminology, explaining the process to them, things like that. So every client's a little bit different with their wants and needs, and we're happy to cater to it all.
And how do you, with our agents that we have, and I know you've done a few escrows for quite a few agents here, how do you communicate with them and their clients? I know we work very carefully, close together, but of course you don't know their client as well as, say, someone who might be working with me. So how do you sort of balance all that?
Well, I usually ask the agent beforehand, like, do you want me to communicate with your clients? Some agents, or not even the agent, I would say some of their clients, they're like, no, I'll do all the communicating with them. So I'm more just keeping the escrow going for them, and I update the agent on anything going on, and then they talk to their client. And then there's some clients that that they want me to have full communication with them. So I really ask beforehand when they submit the escrow to me. So again, catering, yeah, exactly.
And then, and why don't you give some examples of what you've seen that where escrow might have been a little bit of a disaster because another company didn't send their agent to the house for the home inspection or whatever. Yeah.
So yeah, we always like to have a representative at any appointment, even if our client can't be, well, especially if our client can't be there. We always like to know what's going on and at that appointment. For example, we were representing a buyer at a home inspection and the listing agent wasn't there. It was just the home inspector and us. We were there, then we kind of left, and then there ended up being a leak in the bathtub on the second floor, and it went down to the first floor. So had the listing agent been there, they would have been able to help the problem right away, probably turn the water off. And it actually ended up causing damage, but since the inspector had to get a hold of the listing agent, they had to get there, it was a lot of time wasted. So that was a huge example of how we always like to be at every appointment. And it ended up costing the sale in the end. Yeah. They ended up not purchasing the property.
Oh, yeah, I know. It was a few years ago. I remember that. Yeah. So in terms of, moving forward today, of course, how have things changed, do you see, with the COVID situation, of course, in real estate?
Yeah. So we haven't stopped. We've just had to adapt and adjust, really. So some of the things that we're doing, we were already doing in the past. For example, DocuSign. DocuSign's a great tool during COVID. It was a great tool before COVID, where you can sign your documents through your email. A link gets sent and click, 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 document is signed. So we're really trying to encourage that with our clients right now, just because that's less face-to-face. If we do have to be face-to-face with clients, we follow strict protocol, masks, hand sanitizer, hand washing. If we have an open house, which we're allowed to do now, we make sure we take everyone's temperature at the door. We can only have 5 people, make them wear gloves in the property. So we're really, we're still working. We're still getting things done. We've just had to adapt and adjust it. Listing appointments, you can do over video now. Buyer consultations we do over video. Showings we can do over video, if the client so chooses, but we can do in person as well.
Yeah, so, and I know, I believe now we can put a buyer in our car, but a few weeks ago we couldn't. So that was a little bit of a hold up for me personally, because I had to show the Wynwood market, educate them on the Wynwood market. So we'll be going out actually this weekend, but which was fine. But had that not been the case, they would have followed me. So it would have been a little more inconsistent, but it's still getting the job done. So anything else that you want to end on before we go to some photos here, Julie?
I would just say our number one priority, I always try to be an extension of you, basically, and how you would want to serve our clients, and follow our company's core values as much as possible.
Thank you. And you're doing a beautiful job. Unreal. It's gorgeous. And in honor of you today, we always have photos. And Marianne, we gave Marianne a break this week, and we are going to show 4 photos from the East Coast, because Julie is from the East Coast, and I'm going to let her comment. I'll just put up the shared screen here. So let me see here.
So the fall is the best time of year on the East Coast in New England. This is when I'm from Massachusetts originally. This is when I'm really missing home. I mean, the colors are amazing. And the weather is amazing.
So it's warm there on the East Coast right now, and then all the beautiful colors come out.
Yeah, it's always like that nice kind of crisp weather, warm in the sun, but maybe cool in the shade. It's like that perfect weather before the winter comes.
And that's why Hawaii is, I mean, Julie is like our sun lady. She loves the beach.
Probably too much.
Yeah, so I wanted to thank you for today. And that was just a great overview of who we are, and that you carry our legacy through how we like to do business, you know, and make a difference in people's lives.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And we'll talk to you later today.
Bye.
Bye.